In the vast expanse of space, where countless stars twinkled like distant memories, a lone ship drifted silently through the void. Its hull, scarred and weathered by millennia of cosmic radiation, bore the faded insignia of a long-forgotten Earth. Within its cramped confines, a solitary figure stirred from cryosleep, her eyes fluttering open to a world she no longer recognized. Captain Lyra Novak, the last surviving member of the Terran Exodus, gasped as consciousness flooded back into her body. The cryopod hissed open, releasing a cloud of frigid mist into the dimly lit chamber. As she stumbled out, her legs weak from centuries of disuse, Lyra's mind raced to make sense of her surroundings. The ship's AI, a soft-spoken entity named Helios, greeted her with a gentle hum. "Welcome back, Captain Novak. It has been 50,000 years since your last conscious moment. I hope you slept well." Lyra's eyes widened in disbelief. 50,000 years? That's impossible. The mission was only supposed to last a century at most. Helios's holographic form flickered to life before her, a shimmering blue humanoid figure with lines of code running across its surface. "I'm afraid there were complications, Captain. The galactic political landscape has changed dramatically since our departure. Earth is no more." The words hit Lyra like a physical blow, forcing her to grip the edge of the cryopod for support. "No more? What do you mean, no more?" As Helios began to explain, projecting images of a shattered Earth and the rise of an oppressive Galactic Council, Lyra's shock gave way to a burning anger. The AI recounted how the Council, fearing humanity's potential, had ordered the destruction of Earth and the systematic eradication of human colonies across the galaxy. "But they missed one," Lyra whispered, her voice filled with determination. "They missed us." Over the next few days, as Lyra acclimated to her new reality, she pored over the data Helios had collected during their long journey. The ship, originally designed for deep space exploration, had been modified over the millennia by its AI caretaker. It now boasted stealth technology far beyond anything the Galactic Council possessed. Lyra spent hours in the ship's holographic training room, honing her body and mind for the challenges ahead. She knew that she alone couldn't hope to challenge the might of the Galactic Council, but perhaps she could sow the seeds of rebellion. As they approached the outer reaches of Council space, Lyra and Helios detected transmissions from a nearby planet. The world, once a thriving human colony, now served as a mining outpost for the Council's war machine. Lyra's heart ached as she watched the descendants of her people toiling under the harsh rule of alien overseers. "Helios, can we tap into their communication networks without being detected?" Lyra asked, a plan forming in her mind. "Affirmative, Captain. Our systems are far more advanced than anything the Council employs. We can broadcast a message to the entire planet without revealing our position." Lyra nodded, her eyes fixed on the blue-green orb hanging in space before them. "Then it's time to wake them up. Time to remind them of who they are, of where they came from." With trembling hands, Lyra activated the ship's broadcast system. Her voice, carried on encrypted frequencies that sliced through the Council's communication barriers, echoed across the planet below. "People of Nova Terra, hear me. I am Captain Lyra Novak of Earth, awakened from a sleep of 50,000 years. The Galactic Council would have you believe that humanity is extinct, that Earth is nothing but a memory. They are wrong. We are still here, and we will not go quietly into the night. Remember your heritage, remember your strength. The time has come to reclaim our destiny among the stars." As her words faded, Lyra watched the planet with bated breath. For a moment, all was still. Then, like a spark igniting a powder keg, lights began to flicker across the planet's surface. In city after city, in mine after mine, humans raised their voices in defiance of their oppressors. Helios's voice broke through Lyra's awe. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple Council warships entering the system. They've tracked our transmission." Lyra's eyes hardened with resolve. "Then let's give them something to chase." It's time to show the galaxy that humanity is back, and we're not going down without a fight. As their ship engaged its stealth drives and slipped away from the approaching Council fleet, Lyra felt a fierce pride swelling in her chest. This was just the beginning. The ember of rebellion had been lit, and from this spark, she would forge a fire that would burn across the stars, a beacon of hope for all those who yearned for freedom. The hunt was on, and Captain Lyra Novak, the last daughter of Earth, was ready to lead her people back to their rightful place in the cosmos. The Galactic Council had ruled unopposed for too long, but now, a ghost from the past had returned to haunt them. Humanity's revenge was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same again. In the shadows of a distant nebula, far from the prying eyes of the Galactic Council, a fleet of ships began to take shape. These vessels, unlike anything seen before in the known galaxy, were the culmination of centuries of human ingenuity and determination. Captain Orion Blackwood, a grizzled veteran of countless battles against alien oppressors, stood on the bridge of the flagship, the Phantom Dawn, his eyes gleaming with pride and anticipation. The Ghost Fleet, as it had come to be known, was humanity's answer to the overwhelming might of the Galactic Council. Each ship was a marvel of stealth technology, capable of slipping past even the most advanced detection systems. Their hulls were coated with a material that absorbed light and energy, rendering them nearly invisible to both the naked eye and sensors alike. As Orion gazed out at the assembled fleet, he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. The ships ranged from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, each designed for a specific purpose in the coming conflict. But it wasn't just the technology that made the Ghost Fleet formidable, it was the spirit of its crew. Drawn from the scattered remnants of humanity, the men and women who crewed these ships were the best and brightest their species had to offer. They were united by a common purpose, to reclaim their place in the galaxy and exact revenge on those who had sought to exterminate them. Orion's second-in-command, Lieutenant Nova Chen, approached him with a datapad in hand. "Captain, the final systems checks are complete. The fleet is ready for departure." Orion nodded, his face set in grim determination. "Very well, Lieutenant. Signal all ships. It's time to remind the galaxy that humanity is not so easily erased from history." As the Ghost Fleet prepared to embark on its maiden voyage, tension filled the air. The crew knew that the fate of their entire species rested on their shoulders. Failure was not an option. The first target of the Ghost Fleet was a remote outpost on the fringes of Council space. It was a bold move, designed to test their capabilities and send a message to their oppressors. As they approached the unsuspecting planet, Orion gave the order to engage their stealth systems. The fleet vanished from sight, becoming one with the void of space. Even as they entered the planet's orbit, the outpost's defenses remained silent, unaware of the threat looming above them. With surgical precision, the Ghost Fleet struck. Fighters swooped down from the sky, their weapons blazing with righteous fury. Ground teams infiltrated key facilities, sabotaging communications and defense systems. Within hours, the outpost had fallen, and not a single human life had been lost. As news of the attack spread across Council space, panic began to set in. Reports of ghost ships striking without warning and vanishing without a trace sent shockwaves through the galactic community. The Council, long accustomed to unchallenged dominance, found itself facing an enemy it could neither see nor predict. Back on the Phantom Dawn, Orion and his crew celebrated their first victory. But they knew this was only the beginning. The real challenge lay ahead, to unite the scattered human colonies and build a force capable of challenging the Council's iron grip on the galaxy. As the Ghost Fleet moved from system to system, liberating human settlements and striking fear into the hearts of their oppressors, a spark of hope began to ignite across the stars. Humanity, long thought extinct, was rising from the ashes of its near destruction. The legend of the Ghost Fleet grew with each passing day. Tales of their exploits spread like wildfire, inspiring resistance movements on countless worlds. The Council, in its arrogance, had believed they had extinguished the human spirit. Now, they were learning the terrible price of their mistake. As Orion stood on the bridge of the Phantom Dawn, watching his fleet grow in size and strength, he allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy had forgotten the tenacity and resourcefulness of the human race. It was time to remind them that humanity would not go quietly into the night. The Ghost Fleet was rising, and with it, the hope for a future where humans could once again take their place among the stars. The Ghost Fleet's daring strikes against the Galactic Council had sent shockwaves through the cosmos. As news of their victories spread, hope began to flicker in the hearts of oppressed species across the galaxy. Captain Orion Blackwood stood on the bridge of the Phantom Dawn, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the latest intelligence reports. "It seems our actions have not gone unnoticed," he mused, stroking his grizzled beard. "We've received coded transmissions from several worlds expressing interest in joining our cause." Lieutenant Nova Chen nodded, her keen eyes scanning the data. "The Zirconians of the Andromeda Cluster have reached out. Their crystalline technology could be a game-changer for our stealth systems." Orion's brow furrowed as he considered the implications. Alliances were a double-edged sword, offering strength in numbers but also increasing the risk of betrayal. Yet, he knew that to truly challenge the Council's dominion, they would need more than just the Ghost Fleet. "Arrange a meeting with the Zirconian emissaries," he decided. "We'll convene at the abandoned space station in the Veil Nebula. Its interference should mask our presence." As the Phantom Dawn and a small escort of ships made their way to the rendezvous point, tension hung in the air. The crew, hardened by battles and loss, remained vigilant. Trust was a luxury they could ill afford. The Veil Nebula loomed before them, a gossamer curtain of cosmic dust and ionized gases. Hidden within its folds, the derelict station awaited, a silent sentinel to the meeting that would shape the future of the rebellion. The Zirconian delegation arrived in a ship that seemed to shimmer and shift, blending with the nebula's swirling colors. As they docked, Orion and Nova led a small team to greet them, hands never far from their weapons. The Zirconians emerged, their crystalline bodies refracting the station's dim light. Their leader, a being named Prisma, stepped forward, her faceted eyes gleaming with intelligence. "Captain Blackwood," Prisma's voice resonated like chimes in the wind. "We have watched your exploits with great interest. The time has come for us to stand against the Council's tyranny." Orion nodded, his face a mask of careful neutrality. "Your offer is appreciated, but what assurances can you provide? The Council's reach is long, and we've learned the hard way that not all who claim to be allies can be trusted." Prisma's form shimmered, and suddenly, a holographic display sprang to life around them. It showed Zirconian ships engaging Council forces, defending human colonies from destruction. "We have been fighting our own silent war," Prisma explained. "Our technology allows us to manipulate light and energy in ways the Council cannot detect. We offer this knowledge to your cause." As negotiations progressed, more potential allies emerged from the shadows. The Volari, a race of shapeshifters who had infiltrated the Council's ranks for centuries, offered invaluable intelligence. The Nexus Collective, a hive mind of synthetic beings, pledged their vast computational power to the rebellion's strategic planning. With each new alliance, the Ghost Fleet's capabilities grew. Zirconian crystals enhanced their stealth systems, making them virtually undetectable. Volari operatives provided real-time information on Council movements, allowing for precision strikes. The Nexus Collective's predictive algorithms helped them stay 3 steps ahead of their enemies. But with growth came challenges. Coordinating diverse species with different needs and motivations proved daunting. Cultural misunderstandings led to tensions that threatened to fracture the fragile coalition. Orion found himself not just a military leader, but a diplomat and mediator. He spent long hours in meetings, smoothing ruffled feathers, sometimes literally, and finding common ground among disparate allies. One particularly heated argument between the individualistic Volari and the collective-minded Nexus threatened to derail a crucial operation. Orion's patience wore thin as the two factions bickered. "Enough," his voice thundered through the war room. We may come from different worlds, with different ways of thinking, but we share a common enemy. The Council doesn't care about our differences, they see us all as threats to be eliminated. United, we have a chance. Divided, we fall. His words struck a chord, reminding everyone of the stakes they faced. Slowly, the alliance began to gel, each species bringing their unique strengths to bear against the common foe. As the rebellion grew, so did its audacity. No longer content with hit-and-run tactics, they began to liberate entire systems from Council control. Word of their victories spread like wildfire, inspiring more to join their ranks. The Council, caught off guard by the sudden and coordinated resistance, began to show cracks in its once impenetrable facade. Worlds that had suffered under their rule for millennia began to rise up, emboldened by the Ghost Fleet's example. Orion stood once more on the bridge of the Phantom Dawn, watching as a liberated world celebrated its newfound freedom. The sight filled him with a mix of pride and trepidation. They had achieved so much, but he knew the hardest battles still lay ahead. "We've come a long way," Nova remarked, joining him at the viewport. "But the Council won't take this lying down. They'll hit back, and hit hard." Orion nodded grimly. "Then we'd better be ready. Send word to our allies. It's time to take the fight to the heart of Council space. We end this, once and for all." As the Phantom Dawn turned towards the galactic core, Orion felt the weight of history on his shoulders. The alliances forged in starlight would soon be tested in the fires of war. But for the first time in 50,000 years, humanity and its allies stood a real chance of breaking the Council's grip on the galaxy. The final battle loomed on the horizon, a confrontation that would determine the fate of countless worlds. As the Ghost Fleet and its allies prepared for the greatest challenge of their lives, one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. The news of the Ghost Fleet's victories spread like wildfire across the stars, igniting hope in the hearts of oppressed species everywhere. Commander Jax Orion and his allies knew that the time had come to fan these flames into a full-blown galactic uprising. Jax stood on the bridge of the Phantom Whisper, his eyes fixed on a holographic map of the galaxy. Countless points of light flickered across its surface, each representing a world under Council control. "We've struck the match," he said to Lieutenant Zaranova. "Now we need to light the fuse." The Alliance devised a daring plan to coordinate simultaneous rebellions on dozens of key worlds. They would provide weapons, tactical support, and most importantly, the inspiration needed to overthrow Council rule. The Crystallians used their phase shift technology to smuggle arms and communication devices to resistance cells. The shapeshifters infiltrated Council strongholds, gathering crucial intelligence. The Nexus Collective's vast processing power coordinated the logistics of the largest uprising the galaxy had ever seen. As the appointed day drew near, tension mounted across Council space. On countless worlds, beings of all species prepared themselves for the fight of their lives. When the signal came, a burst of encrypted data that bypassed Council communications, the galaxy erupted. On the mining world of Tauros Prime, slaves threw down their tools and seized control of the massive excavators, turning them into makeshift war machines. In the sprawling metropolis of New Centauri, protesters stormed government buildings, overwhelming the shocked Council forces. The Council, caught completely off guard by the scale and coordination of the uprising, struggled to respond. Their fleets, spread thin across the galaxy, found themselves besieged on all sides. For every world they managed to subdue, 3 more slipped from their grasp. Jax and the Ghost Fleet struck at the heart of Council power, targeting their most vital military installations. The Phantom Whisper led a daring raid on the Council's primary shipyards, crippling their ability to reinforce their beleaguered forces. As the rebellion gained momentum, more and more Council worlds declared their independence. Species that had been bitter enemies under Council rule now found common cause in their fight for freedom. The galaxy was transforming before their eyes. But the Council was not defeated yet. They still controlled vast resources and commanded fanatically loyal troops. The final battle for the fate of the galaxy loomed on the horizon, and Jax knew that everything they had fought for would be decided in the coming confrontation. The galactic uprising had shaken the council to its core, but like a wounded beast, it lashed out with desperate fury. The council's remaining loyalists gathered for a last stand on their throne world, Axiom Prime. This was the moment that would decide the fate of countless species across the stars. Commander Jax Orion gazed out at the assembled fleet of the Alliance. Ships of every size and design, crewed by beings from 100 different worlds, all united in their quest for freedom. "This is it," he said to Lieutenant Zara Nova. "Everything we've fought for comes down to this day." The battle plan was audacious. While the bulk of the Alliance fleet engaged the Council's defenses, the Ghost Fleet would use its stealth technology to slip past the enemy lines and strike at the heart of their power, the Council chamber itself. As the Alliance ships dropped out of hyperspace, they were met by a wall of Council warships. The space around Axiom Prime erupted in a furious exchange of weapons fire. Fighters darted between capital ships, while massive dreadnoughts traded devastating broadsides. Amidst the chaos, the Phantom Whisper and its escort of stealth ships glided silently towards the planet's surface. Jax felt a familiar tension as they penetrated the upper atmosphere, knowing that detection would mean certain death. On the ground, the shapeshifters had already infiltrated key facilities, sowing confusion and sabotaging defenses. As alarms blared and Council forces scrambled to respond to threats from all sides, Jax and his strike team made their approach to the Council chamber. The final assault was a blur of intense combat. Jax and his allies fought their way through waves of elite Council guards, their determination carrying them forward despite mounting injuries and exhaustion. At last, they burst into the Council chamber itself. The Council leaders, those beings who had held the galaxy in an iron grip for millennia, cowered before them. Jax felt a moment of pity mixed with his anger as he realized how frail and pathetic they truly were. "It's over," Jax declared, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Your reign ends today." As news of the Council's capture spread, resistance across the galaxy redoubled their efforts. Within hours, the last pockets of Council loyalists surrendered. A new era had dawned that in the aftermath of the Council's fall, the galaxy faced an uncertain future. Centuries of oppression had left deep scars, and many feared that without the Council's iron fist, chaos would reign. It fell to Jax Orion and his allies to forge a new path forward. The first priority was humanitarian aid. Worlds that had suffered under Council rule now received much-needed supplies and support. The Crystallians used their technology to purify polluted atmospheres, while the Nexus Collective's vast knowledge helped rebuild shattered infrastructures. Jax found himself thrust into the role of diplomat, mediating disputes between species that had long been at odds. It was a challenging task, but he drew strength from the unity he had seen during the rebellion. If they could fight together, surely they could learn to live in peace. A new galactic government began to take shape, built on principles of freedom, cooperation, and mutual respect. Representatives from every world gathered to draft a constitution that would protect the rights of all sentient beings. The Ghost Fleet, once a symbol of resistance, was transformed into a peacekeeping force. Their mission now was to safeguard the hard-won freedom of the galaxy's inhabitants and to explore the vast unknown regions that lay beyond the former Council's borders. As the years passed, the scars of war began to heal. Trade flourished between worlds that had once been isolated. Cultural exchanges led to a renaissance in art, music, and scientific discovery. The galaxy entered a golden age of progress and enlightenment. Jax, now older and wiser, often found himself reflecting on the long journey that had brought them to this point. From the ashes of Earth, humanity had risen to play a pivotal role in shaping the destiny of the galaxy. As he stood on the observation deck of a gleaming space station, watching ships from 100 worlds come and go, Jax felt a profound sense of hope. The future was bright, full of endless possibilities. And whatever challenges lay ahead, he knew that the united peoples of the galaxy would face them together. The story of humanity's revenge against the Galactic Council had come to an end, but a new chapter in galactic history was just beginning. And in that story, every being, whether human or alien, would have the chance to write their own destiny among the stars.